PBKC is your entertainment destination for poker, table games, OTV, Paddock live events, and exceptional eats. The Paddock restaurant is perfect for meetings, corporate functions, parties, fundraising, and more. Call 561-683-2222 extension 199 and book your next event today. It's Wednesday morning, it's 10 a.m., and it's time for PBKC Picks, broadcasting live from the place to be right here at PBKC in West Palm Beach, Florida, at the Palm Beach Kennel Club. My name is Mike Jamison. To my right is the president of PBKC, Mr. Pat Rooney.
What is happening, Mike? Big events this past weekend with the draft and playoffs and all kinds of good stuff. Guys getting fired in baseball. This is why I love sports.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about today. Sitting behind Pat, he does quite a few podcasts.
Too many podcasts.
He deals a lot of poker. His name's Earnest Christian. What's up, Ronnie?
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing, buddy?
I'm well.
We're going to get a Mets update today?
Yeah.
They won last night.
So they've got a couple of wins under their belt now. But right behind me, he's one of our assistant general managers, and he runs the poker room, and he's debuting a new look on the
He's
show.
hairless,
Can you see
buddy.
it? It's hard to see, like,
It looks so much better.
right? So I got the advice from some friends that said, just stop trying to hang on to what's left or whatever. So I figure I follow this team's lead, and we'll be uniform moving forward. But the good news is the kid, the 18-year-old, she said, looked at me and stared at me for a minute, and she says, I just got to get used to it. It's not terrible, she said. Not terrible.
That's a win.
That's a win.
Can I say God bless your friends?
Yeah,
Job well done.
That means she said you really look good. I think that's how the kids say it now. But this weekend is the PBKC is the place to be on Saturday. It's Kentucky Derby Fest. It is literally our biggest day of the year. Watch, wager, and win on the 152nd run of the Kentucky Derby, which we're going to actually go over in just a little while. We're going to give you our picks for the race. Sal, who runs the mutual department, was so nice to write up things about the Derby that we're going to talk about a little bit later on the show. But we have a live band Friday at 5. We have the hat contest. We have so much more. It's Kentucky Derby Fest coming up this Saturday at PBKC.
Nice.
No live Sal? No Sal live?
No. He, let's just be honest. He thinks he's better than us.
Yeah, he sure does.
Yeah, he just thinks he's too good for us.
It is what it is, right?
It is. Now let's talk about NFL news. The NFL draft happened over the weekend in Pittsburgh for an attendance record of over 805,000 people.
Pittsburgh coming out.
So I think Pittsburgh did a fantastic job. Let's talk about the NFL draft winners and losers. I've heard a lot of talk about a couple of teams like the Cleveland Browns. Jake and I are happy because the Raiders are also in there, as people saying did a great job, and the Chiefs also. Who are your winners and losers from the draft?
I'm gonna go Cleveland as well. I got my cheat sheet here just because my memory now is gone. But I love Spencer Fano, the offensive tackle. I think he's going to be one of those guys that are going to plug and play him for the next 10 years. And then they got two of the top 6 wide receivers in this draft. They got Denzel Boston and Casey Concepcion. Both these guys are really good receivers. But I also like the fact later on they got Joe Royer, who's a tight end from Cincinnati. He's a good player. And they also gambled a little bit, got a quarterback. And I know they're getting great because they got 10 quarterbacks already. But you can never have enough quarterbacks. Until you have the one, keep drafting them. That should be the motto. So they took Taylor Green out of Arkansas. So I really liked Cleveland's draft. Now, what they do with it and how they bring these guys along, that's a different question. And that gets to my second team, whose draft I really liked. There's 3 teams I got. Baltimore always seems to do well in the draft. I don't know how they do it. They always seem to get really good picks. And as I'm scrolling down here, I love the kid from Penn State, the guard, Ione. I think he's another guy that's probably a 10 to 15-year guy that they're going to – Zion Young's a really good edge guy from Missouri that I think can help them. They got this kid Surratt, who was the other wide receiver with Indiana on their national championship team. I like him a lot. I just think they really do the draft well. Here's my question, though, with Baltimore. Every year we seem to be like, they did great. They did great. They got Lamar Jackson. They got blah, blah, blah. They got Hamilton. They got – when are they going to win a Super Bowl? That's my whole question. They seem to draft really well every year, and they can't seem to get to the Super Bowl, let alone win it. So that's my criticism with Baltimore. Last team that I really, really liked was Tampa Bay. And I'll give you – I like the Eagles too, but Tampa Bay got – three guys that I really like. Reuben Bain Jr., here's my thing with Reuben. Now, he's getting a lot of criticism because he has short arms, and nobody with less than 31-inch arm reach has ever had more than 5 sacks. I've seen all these crazy stats with him. Here's what I liked about him. You know, the ridiculousness that has become the NFL draft. Now these guys have to walk essentially a mile from the green room to get on stage. And part of it is they have to stop at this mirror, put on the hat. It's so ridiculous and contrived. I hate it. And half these poor guys can't get the thing on because, they got so much hair and they're dealing with. They can't get the cap on. Bain, if you watch Bain, he doesn't even look. He grabs the hat, doesn't even look in the mirror, and keeps going. I'm like, that's my guy. I want a guy that's like, I'm not even going to play this stupid game. I'm getting out there. I'm going to give the bro a hug and get off. So I really like Bain for that. But the other guy I really like, one of my 3 guys you have to watch in this draft, there was kind of later round guys that I think are going to be players. Ted Hurst, who's a wide receiver from Georgia State. This kid is going to be a player. I know he went to Georgia State, and that's why he probably fell to the 4th round or 3rd round, wherever they took him. But he's going to be a player. So I really like that out of Tampa Bay. So those are my 3 winners. I can give you losers later if you want them.
So I don't hate this topic, but you're not going to know until you know 5 years on the road who really won and lost this draft. Like I said, this draft was very quiet. I will say, in terms of winners for me that I teams that address needs. The Giants, not to be biased here, but I thought they addressed a lot of needs on their situation now with what's going on.
A lot of needs they had. It's hard not to address them.
Exactly. But again, you have to hit on those needs. They have to work out the culture, the whole 9. So Giants win there. I wanted Bain in New York, and Tampa getting him I think is a nice move for them. Obviously the concerns you had, Pat, are legit, but I think he's going to be a really good player. This is going to be a little hot take here. Now, follow me here because we did touch on this last week a little bit, and Pat and I were on the same page on this one, especially pertaining to Ty Simpson. Him going to the Rams that high. Here's the deal. Matthew Stafford is year to year. You don't know what he's going to do. You need to lock in a quarterback. If you believe he's a guy that could be, at the very least, a solid veteran for the next 10 years, you need to lock him in and hope your cards play out that way. So I think the Rams getting high, whatever, just doing it. Because again, we don't know. Stafford could get hit next year, and he's done. But he's also the MVP right now currently, too. So it's one of those things where, you don't know. So just lock in the quarterback for the time being. You get 3-4 years, at least, of a wiggle room until he probably retires, whatever that may be. So those are my winners there. I don't like losers because, again, this is, we won't know until we know. But the Cardinals getting Love at 3. Love is a great player, great running back. I'm not against that. But, again, I have a hard time drafting running backs that high. Number 3, that high. To me, it's a risk. I mean, especially a team like Cardinals that have a lot more needs. I would rather just trade that pick out and fill more needs instead of getting Love. So it's a gamble to get a running back that high. But otherwise, I thought it was a solid draft across the board. I think, like I said, we're not going to know until we know. So it is what it is. It's a very low-key draft, but can have a lot of nice players come out in the next couple of years. We'll see what happens. Yeah,
as always, we have opposite opinions. You're putting the Rams down as one of your better ones, I think, and I think that was a critical mistake. Mm-hmm. They have the window is open, for the Super Bowl this year, right now. And a draft pick that high to invest in the future of something that might come down the road, you have to capitalize on right now. They have everything going for them. They have the roster up and down. If you could add one piece, and that one piece could make that difference, if you could just get one guy to put you over the hump, a defender or somebody who could pressure something, that could have made a world of difference. And I think that the quarterback's not going to see the field. He can't help them this year. He probably won't help them next year. Right. So your goal is to win the Super Bowl, and then you make decisions not to do exactly that for this one. It was surprising to me. I thought, and then to move up, and they moved up to go grab him, right?
Let me ask you a question. Yeah. Do you think he would have been there in the second round for them?
Yes.
Okay.
I think – how about this? I think that the chance of him being in the second round was good enough to just build for this year and then maybe get lucky later. Imagine if they did that. They'd have the best draft in the league.
Right.
They could have drafted for necessity to win the Super Bowl this year and still filled that need. I would have took that shot and gambled on it and go for the Super Bowl this year. And then the Browns, it's hard to not have a good draft when you have 2 firsts and 2 seconds. But the Browns, they took a couple short picks and no reaches or anything, so they did what they were supposed to do. And yeah, I'm with Pat on these things where you're walking down the tunnel, you're doing all these things, and I might as well touch on it now because I don't think there's a spot for this, but. Okay, the wide receiver Philadelphia took, Lemon. He is everything on the field. Off the field, the guy looks like Stevie Wonder. He's standing up there during his thing, and he won't stop moving. And I'm like, this guy. And I know Pittsburgh was on the phone with him because Pittsburgh likes to draft head case wide receivers.
That's what they do.
We tricked you. You see,
right? So we thought they were going to get him. We're like, we got to get this guy now. And now, yeah, we have a combination of Pickens and Antonio Brown all in one. So hopefully he's a baller. But yeah, it was a little rough seeing that. Everything we talk about a receiver being out there, he is every bit out there. We'll have to see how it plays out.
Okay, Pat, we're going to talk about Pittsburgh right now. Pittsburgh was the city that hosted. I think they did a fantastic job, and then we're going to talk about their draft picks too. First, the question is, how do you think that the city of Pittsburgh did? And the second question I have is, please tell me that you love Jennings Dunker because I think he's amazing.
I think the city of Pittsburgh did pretty good. I don't think they got 805,000 people there. I think that was a little bit inflated. I think what you're going to see with these drafts as years go on is like, this is a record. We have the most people wherever they go. If they're going to D.C. next year, it'll be the most people. Now, they had a lot of people. Don't get me wrong. Maybe they had 600,000 or 700, but I don't think I could be wrong. But anyway, that part of it is fine. You can overinflate that all you want. Here's the issue with Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh is such a shame because they're kind of like the little brother to Philadelphia or whatever you want to call them. They've always had this image issue, and that's why when the Steelers came along in the 70s, it just propelled them to such heights, and that's why the fans still love the Steelers now, even though they're just been kind of mediocre for a few years, because they gave that city an identity. Prior to that, they were just kind of even though they had the Pirates won and that kind of stuff, they had like a lovable loser type mentality. So this year, I was looking in the papers a lot prior to the draft, and there were a lot of articles like, we can't handle 800,000 people. What are we going to do? The traffic's going to be terrible. The transit system's awful. Restaurants aren't going to have enough staff, blah, blah, blah. Guess what happened? A lot of people from Pittsburgh did not go outside of that little area on the North Shore that dealt with the draft itself. People and restaurants on the North Shore did very well. Everything else in Pittsburgh did not do really well, and I think the primary reason is because the newspapers and everybody else was like, please don't come down, we can't handle this. And then the funny thing is, this is what I love about the media, what they do is they perpetuate something like that, and then when it actually happens, they're like, look what happened, they couldn't handle it, nobody came down, the restaurants are all overstaffed and nobody went to them. I'm like, yeah, because you guys said don't come down, the traffic's going to be terrible and blah, blah, blah. Now all these poor restaurants were geared up for like an unbelievable New Year's Eve type event, and nobody went. So, from a visual standpoint, from ESPN, from that part of it, yeah, this was an absolute home run for the city. The weather ended up being really good. So from that standpoint, the visuals and all that. But when you got to the outside of it, and again, I don't know if the NFL is responsible for making everybody like rich during that day or whatever, but I do think the media in Pittsburgh couldn't help themselves and played up we can't handle this, and people didn't show up. So from that standpoint, it's a shame that a lot of the outlying businesses in the city didn't really benefit from this event like they should have. Because from every other thing I've heard of people that did, use the transit, everything went as smoothly as you could, and the people were very friendly, and they just did a great job for those people that actually came to the draft and experienced it on site. I think it was a home run, but it's a shame because the outlier parts of it weren't as good. the Steeler draft. Do we have my disclaimer music or whatever I got to?
This is not
I think the draft. I think the draft was fine.
The views expressed.
Yes, I think the draft was fine. They got a tackle. They wanted to get Lemon, but they didn't get him, so they picked this kid from Alabama in the second round. I think he's okay. I loved Dunning or Deming,
Dunker.
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, with a mullet and a red hair. I mean, he's an essential Steeler right off the bat. So I think he's going to be good. I think where the issue became is in the later rounds when this is when you can take chances on guys. This is when, because there isn't much expectation. So take another quarterback. We took Drew Aller. Fine, that's good. We need quarterbacks. Take the kid from North Dakota State. He's there. Take him. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
Who got him?
He went to Philly also.
Philly got him?
Yeah.
Philly got him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, take him. You can take two quarterbacks in a draft. There's no rule against that. And you need quarterbacks. You still don't know what Aaron Rodgers is doing. And why do you care at this juncture anyway? You got to move on at some point. So get the quarterbacks as many as you can, and let's go forward with it. They got a return guy from Iowa who's good. But I think they probably could have got him in later rounds. All he essentially does is return kicks and punts. You need that. I'm not discounting that, but I think you could have got him later. They got a guy from Notre Dame, a defensive lineman, who wasn't even on any of the charts and took him in the 6th round. Take somebody that's a little bit higher up on that than that. Again, just like Earnest is saying, we don't know. Any of these guys could turn out to be really, really good players and all that. So it is a complete crapshoot. But I think the draft was okay. It filled some needs early on. And a lot of times people say, hey, if you get 2 players out of a draft, you did well. They probably got 2 players out of the draft. I just think they could have taken a couple more chances later that might have ended up hitting for them. Hey, the kid that I think the Raiders took in the beginning of the fourth or whatever, that kid's the number 1 cornerback in the draft, except he's hurt. So why don't you try and, again, it is a risk, and he's going to have to sit out the whole year. But, man, you could have had the number 1 cornerback in the draft in the 4th or 5th round. So there's issue, and all teams can say that. I mean, a lot of teams passed on him. So all in all, I think the city did a great job. I think if they want to bring it back there, the city can absolutely host it again at some point, and hopefully the media won't be down on them like they were for this one, and at least let everybody partake in it. And then the draft itself is what it is. They got an offensive lineman. They got 2. They need that. They got a wide receiver. They need that. They probably could have taken another one somewhere else. So we'll see what happens. But I just wish they would view this as more of all right, now let's really start trying to focus on next year when there's a bunch of quarterbacks, and we're going to take one of those hopefully and just forget about all this. We're trying to compete or whatever the thought is. I've said this before, the fans will understand if you're rebuilding or whatever word you want to use. They understand that. Now, they're not going to have a long-term understanding of that. They're not going to go 6 or 7 years of rebuilding. But for a year or 2, yeah, if there's a plan in place to, hopefully move you up, then I think people understand that.
But that's the problem. We don't know what the Steelers are doing. We still don't know. You have a quarterback at 41 years old who may come back, who's still good enough to get to the playoffs, as we saw last year, or do you rebuild? Again, there's a lot of questions about where they're in limbo right now, the Steelers, in my opinion.
Yeah, and they've been there for a while, and that's the frustrating part of your fan is, where are we going? Yeah, if you bring A-Rod back, he's probably going to get you 8 or 9 or 10 wins.
Yeah.
But does that I don't think he's playing next year. I think this has got to be it. So if this is his final year, what does that do for you?
They got to know something at this point. We're now entering May in 2 days, and he hasn't made a decision. What are we doing here?
I'm not putting up with it. I mean, you have so much riding on the most important, like Pat says, the most important position in any sport, all sports combined, and whether he's going to play or not. And there's offense that are designed around guys and schemes and the throws that they can make. The plays that Aaron Rodgers can make this year aren't the same plays that throwing one of those other guys in there is going to. You'll have to lean more heavily on the run and some other things. So, yeah, that has to be absolutely frustrating. And I don't know if the upside's great enough that you let Aaron decide at the very last minute. I don't know if he has that much of an upside at this point in his career to let him decide in the 11th hour whether he's going to play or not this year.
I mean, they got to know something right at this point. That he's
I don't believe they do.
There's got to be a lean somewhere. They got to know that there's a lean. You know what I mean? And I don't know, man. This is weird, though.
I don't believe they do.
So now we're going to talk about your favorite draft moment. Mine was the last pick from the Steelers, Eli Heidenreich. He's in the Navy. He's a Pittsburgh native and a former Mount Lebanon high school star. He comes out in the mirror you were talking about, and he salutes the mirror, and he comes out, and everybody's cheering. That was my personal favorite part of the draft. Did you have a moment during the draft that you really enjoyed, Pat?
Well, I mean, I mentioned it with Bain. I know it's just a little thing, but I think little things tell you things about guys and what type of person they are and what type of competitor they are. You get guys that are there. Here's another thing, Mike. There's two different types of crying. There's this like really weeping and you're like, what is going on?
Okay.
And then there's a great scene, when Joe Green, they were talking, this goes back a while, NFL Films is doing a thing on when the Steelers are going to demolish Three Rivers Stadium, and they're talking about like all the memories and all this stuff. So they get Joe Green on there. Joe Green is talking, I probably have mentioned this before, Joe Green is talking to the camera, and tears are streaming down his face, but he's not making a crying face or anything. He's just like, it was one of the greatest times of my life. And I'm like,
I want to
Jesus, I am ready to run through a wall right now for this guy.
I want to learn that.
So there were a couple guys that were like really weeping, and I'm like, this is more emotional than it should. I mean, I know you just made $1 million and all this other stuff, but you need to get a hold of yourself. So, but there were a couple guys that were doing the Joe Green, like where they're like stone faced, but they're crying, and I'm like, that's the guy I want right there. Mm-hmm. But you're right, that moment with Heinrich or whatever you say his name, because that kid was not going to get drafted. He was already committed to somebody as an undrafted free agent after the draft. He already committed to another team. So I think the Steelers recognized, you can still get quality player at the 7th round, but this was more of an optic thing where it's like, hey, this guy represents our country, represents a lot of what football is all about, and camaraderie and teamwork. And I think that was pretty cool that they actually ended up getting his teammate, his other running back from the Navy. They got him as an undrafted free agent. So we're bringing in the whole Navy now for our backfield.
Whatever it takes.
Well, mine is obviously the first pick in the draft, Mendoza of the Raiders. And just number one, I love the fact he stayed home, because I love the fact that players stay home, wherever they want to be, instead of attending the draft itself, because it's more natural that way, the reaction. And then him embracing, of course, Signetti is his college coach from Indiana. They just won a national title a couple months ago, and just knowing that program and what they've not done for so many years, and the shock of the world, whatnot. So just to see them embrace was really cool. Of course, the number one pick in the draft. I think Mendoza is going to be a solid quarterback. Honestly, I think the intangibles are going to give him an advantage to do well in Vegas, as long as he can get over all the other ancillary things around in the city. Another moment for me that stood out really was going back to Ty Simpson, was a bit of the shock. I think we saw people like some of the GMs and some of the scouts out there, how shocked they were that the Rams took that high. And again, to your point, it's a hit or miss here for the Rams. I get it. But just a amount of shock around the room about the pick, as high as it was from other people outside the Rams organization.
Yeah, I always like the family reactions. The parents are. What a great moment for the parents. And then really the best are the girlfriends and maybe wives or they're like
the best one ever.
Here we go.
Noah, do you remember?
This is.
I'm with you.
Noah, do you remember?
Me and you.
Yeah.
Come here. This is
We're
my
team.
guy.
Noah, do you remember?
He's my guy.
Do you remember the one with CeeDee Lamb years ago?
Yeah.
Well, he's on his phone. He's taking the phone.
He had his burner phone or something, and his girl is reaching over there. And his sneaky link came through and said something to him during a thing, and he's like, "Give me that back." Yeah, we saw the end of that relationship real time. But the family reactions from the over the top, and then it was an interesting call. The Eagles picked an international player from South Africa as one of their players, and he's a menace. He's a big physical specimen with no formal training, actually.
He's a project, right? That's the one I was talking about earlier,
so
right?
He gets drafted, obviously, to draft in Pittsburgh, and he was there. And then Howie calls him, and he says something about, he's like, yeah, well, I got to start walking there now. They believe he literally believed that he had to walk from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia because he didn't know how he was going to get there. That's and Howie said, don't worry, we're going to send a plane for you, don't worry.
Okay, with the draft this weekend, it took some heat off of something we talked about on the show when you weren't here 2 weeks ago, and that's the Vrabel drama that's going on right now. And one of the questions that me and Jake wanted to pose is, are people in the media trying to make a sports into like a soap opera? Because we keep hearing about this. It has nothing to do with football. Vrabel took some time off, and now he's back. How do you feel about this situation, or do you even care?
There's so many places to go here.
Yeah.
first of all, I'm trying to be politically correct here, but if you're gonna do whatever he thought he was doing, why are you doing it with Diana Rossini? I mean, good Lord, Vrabel's a big dude. She's like 4'2", and I don't get that one, but to each his own, I guess. Yeah, they are, and it's ridiculous. I mean, these are two grown people. If they want to go screw around on their spouses, that's on them, and that has nothing to do with sports. He's not even a player, so it can't even really impact his job. Now, I will say this though, for him to take off the third day, and I still don't get that. I'm like, why is that particular day, which in a weird way is super important for the coach? You know who you're going to take first, and you generally know who you're going to take second and third round, generally. But that third day is when you make your money. That's when you're getting the grunts, the special teams guys, the guys that, the Tom Brady's that might turn in. And that's the day you're like, that's the day I'm going to, go to therapy. Or I think therapy is available Sunday too. So if I'm the owner of that team, at that point I'm like, Mike, I don't know what statement you're trying to make with this. Like, my family and all this is so important, like, that I'm going to – no, your job in this instance is much more important than whatever phony baloney thing you're trying to prove with going to therapy or whatever. Therapy's available 24 hours after that. So you can go to therapy then. Do your damn job and quit playing into this any more than it is. I thought his initial statement was really good. He said something like, it's nobody's damn business what I'm doing, and that's it. And quit. If they want to keep saying, Mike, what about Diana? Be like, next question. It's none of your business. That's all you got to keep saying. And eventually it would hopefully die out. But to miss that third day to me is ridiculous. And it's virtue signaling or something. I have no idea what it is, but I'm like, dude, this is really what you're getting paid for. One of the main reasons you're getting paid is to give us your input on draft picks, because if they don't work out, it's your ass on the line. So I don't want to, I wasn't there for the third day because, as you know, I was getting therapy. So, okay, yeah.
Sounds so its head.
That part bugs me. I can't stand guys that are like, I'm going to sex therapy now. No, forget all that. Just admit that you screwed up, and if your wife wants to take you back, she will. If not, it's over.
Yeah, I totally. When I saw that, when I saw that, I was like, why can't you just wait till Monday? Right. Like Monday morning at 9:00 in the morning when these offices open. I don't understand. It makes no sense. It's way too calculated, and it looks fake, and this is why the story won't go away, because he adds to the story. Stop being fake. Stop. Be authentic.
Right. Yeah, you got to shut it down.
So the question is, you said it's sports turned to a tabloid. Like, duh. Like, we have so much space of content now to fill. Like, of course, you have TMZ. TMZ now has a TMZ sports show now that's specifically for stories like this and other things. Not about sports itself, about things that are ancillary to the game itself. So it is what it is, man. We're in the content age where we have so much time to fill and whatnot. Stories people want to hear. The internet's it's bigger and bigger and bigger. The YouTube, you name it. Everybody has a show that's not necessarily about analysis, but also about other stories. Like a lot of the shows today are narrative based. First Take, while they do talk sports, it is narrative based. A lot of these shows are narrative based. Our show, to some extent, is a narrative based show. So it is what it is now. But yeah, in terms of tabloid, it's been turned tabloid. That's the market is now, and it is what it is.
Yeah, if you could tie it to his performance. So if you could give me something like the night before the Super Bowl or something, if somebody could come up with some receipts or something from that night where they're out drinking and up all night or something, yeah, maybe there's some validity. Is it affecting his job? Some people might argue, yes, he's missing the draft, he's missing dates. Now it is affecting his job. So before you could keep the two separate, and now he literally brought his personal life into the offices for the Patriots. So yeah, that makes it a little tougher to digest. What's more impressive is the internet and the sleuthing that they did. I don't know if you guys saw this, but they actually dug up on Spotify a playlist that, what's her name, Diana?
Diana.
She created a playlist years ago, right before the night that was supposed to be where her and Vrabel hung out, and there's like this Love with Sade and all this stuff on there that she put together. The internet found this and outed it today. So, yeah, I mean, hats off to the internet.
And then there's rumors also that apparently her firstborn child, whatever, was named after Mike Vrabel. How do we know that for a fact, though, first off?
Wow.
Like, Mike is a very common name.
Are we going to get
I don't understand.
Are we going to get the paternity test?
Dude, like,
Wait, that's
my
my
Lord.
name, too. Oh, no.
Just saying.
Train wreck.
It's a soap opera, and here's the thing: people are following this thing. They love this stuff, man. Yeah. So
it's like wrestling, Earnest.
It is.
Yeah, that's why I love wrestling too. So I'm not mad about it. It's content for me to talk about.
So we're still building our championship team, and today we are on linebacker. Who's the linebacker we want on our championship team?
Linebacker. Well, I mean, he's too old now, but I really like T.J. Watt. I think he'd be a great line. Are you talking about edge guy, or are you talking about middle linebacker?
We're talking about edge today. Let's talk about edge today.
Edge?
Yeah, I still like T.J., although he's getting up there. Man, that's a tough one. There's a lot of good linebackers out there. Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably still go with him, but maybe just for one more year.
Okay.
I will go with Mr. Federico Anthony Warner for the Niners.
Fred Warner.
My guy.
Well, he's middle, right?
Are we just doing the edge or the linebacker in general?
Anyway, I did them all. All right, Fred Warner's 29. He's getting up there a little bit, but his 29 is like not everybody's 29. He can still move pretty good. And a guy, and I'm going to sound like a homer, but Zach Baum, I mean, at 27 years old, he came on and he's been all-pro the past 2 years, so he's a guy to look at.
He is active, so.
Yeah.
I mean, he plays in the Super Bowl. The plays he made, he's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm taking T.J. Watt, too. Now we're going to jump into a new offer from Hard Rock Bet. This offer actually just started yesterday, so you might be the first ones to be hearing about this. It's a new player who signs up, place your first cash bet of at least $5 with the Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook. You're going to get $150 in bonus bets if the first placed cash bet is settled as a win. Only the first placed qualifying cash bet is going to qualify, and it has to have odds of -500 or longer. Those bonus bets can be split up with 6 $25 bonus bets, and they're loaded into your account on bet settlement, and those expire 7 days after issuance. It's a brand new offer that just started yesterday with Hard Rock Bet, and official rules are at pbkennelclub.com/Hard Rock Bet, offered by Seminole Tribe of Florida. Got to be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. If you're concerned about gambling, call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE. Now we're going to talk about something that is near and dear to us, being the only off-track betting OTB in all of Palm Beach County. I've seen there's other places where people are going to go and have Kentucky Derby parties, but there's no other place in Palm Beach County that's throwing Kentucky Derby Fest that is also the only place that you can watch, wager, and win, walk out with cash in your hand on the Kentucky Derby. And we're talking about the 152nd Run for the Roses, and that is all coming up this Saturday. And the post time is close to 7 o'clock. It's about 6:57. So the guy who runs Mutuals, he was on the show last year for this, Sal Catalfano. It's somebody that me and Noah know
way back,
unfortunately, too well. He actually gave me a cheat sheet of the breakdown. The top favorites, the one horse, Renegade. That's a Todd Pletcher horse. He's going to be ridden by Irad Ortiz. Right now, I believe his odds are 5 or 6 to 1 on the current odds. He's coming off a strong Arkansas Derby win. He's always been ranked number 1. Irad Ortiz is one of the nation's best jockeys, and he still hasn't won the Kentucky Derby. The only problem I have with Renegade is simply the fact that horses never win out of the one post. It's such a tough post in the Kentucky Derby with that many horses. There's a 20-horse field right now. The next one he likes is Commandment, the 6. Brad Cox is the trainer. Luis Saez is riding right now at decent odds, about 6-7 to 1. Very consistent and often listed right behind Renegade. Also, this is the horse that won the Florida Derby, which is right down at Gulfstream. Then his picks are the 18, Further Ado. The next tier of contenders is number 9, the Puma, the 12, Chief Wallaby, the 8, So Happy, and the notable long shots are the 20, Full Effort, and the 2, Albus. The race is shaping up around the strong top trio, the 1, the 6, and the 18, and it's a fairly deep field, but it's pretty much wide open. And one of the major factors this year, and that's why there's no overwhelming favorite, is because most of these horses haven't run against large fields. They've all been running against 7-horse smaller fields, and that's why it could be anybody's race in this one. And it might be the best year we have to bet long shots. Sal's playing 1, 6, 18, 20 in this particular race. The horse I'm looking at, the horse I really seem to like in this one, and I don't know why, but I have a good feeling about Incredibolt in the 11 post. Right now, that's the beginning odds at 20 to 1. You're going to get good odds on this Incredibolt. I do like the 11 horse in this one. That's going to be one of my long shot plays. But as we said, this is anybody's race in the Kentucky Derby. One of the cool parts is if you can't make it out on Saturday, you can always come and future wager on Friday all day right here at PBKC. But you do not want to miss Kentucky Derby Fest. Any feelings about the Derby, Pat?
Well, the Derby's weird. And the weird thing for me is it's much like the NFL draft. Like a couple weeks before the draft, you really don't, except for like the top 5 or 10 guys, you have no idea who any of these guys are. And then all of a sudden, you get with the Mel Kiper digest, you got the R-Lads, you got everything, and all of a sudden, you become much more familiar with 150 guys in the draft versus just 5 or 10. Same thing with the Kentucky Derby. Like I don't even remember who won the Kentucky Derby last year. I don't even remember. But this is the first time I'm seeing the horses now, and I'm going to start getting a feel for it. You'll start hearing some stuff as we get closer to the Derby, like who the favorites are and why and what races have they won and all that. So you'll almost memorize these names as we get closer to Saturday. So this is my first blush on it. So in a wide open race like this, which I think it is, Renegade's going to have a tough time on that first post because just like you said, historically nobody wins from that first post. Commandment I don't know much about, but in these types of situations, what I do is look at who the trainer is and then look at the jockey. So I do think they can give you a little bit of an edge. So you got Bob Baffert in here who's won everything. He's got 2 horses in this, number 4 and number 14. And then I like to look at the jockeys. So, like one of the jockeys that stands out for me is John Velasquez. He's a really good jockey. He's on number 18. So I would start looking now at jockeys and trainers and then get a feel from it from that standpoint, and then start looking at the individual horses, what they've done over their last 3 to maybe 5 races, because a lot of these horses, some of them have been rested for a while, and they haven't run at Churchill Downs or whatever it is. Some of them are being flown over from different countries. Whatever it is, you got to look at all those factors and then try and whittle it down to the top 3 or 4 horses at that point. So I don't have we don't have like a Big Brown or like a super horse in this race that has gotten some notoriety over the last 6 months. I've won a bunch of the preliminaries. And that's why I think you're right. I think in this particular instance, if you're looking for like a 30 to 1 shot or 25 to 1 shot, this could be a good year to bet on that.
For sure. Go ahead, Earnest. Anybody you like, buddy?
I'm looking at some of these names. Like I said, you're going to get a decent odds amount of one on any horse you pick here. The one's looking at actually Right to Party.
Okay.
It was a 30 to 1, that one? 30 to 1, I think was Right to Party.
Yeah. So you must have looked at my notes. So, all right. So
really?
I go
Okay.
through, and Pat said this is a good year for those long. I only bet those, try to bet those mid-range, although I did pick the Derby winner last year.
He did.
I did. But I think in this race with a full 20 field with no clear-cut chalk favorite or somebody out in front, those 30 to 1, I'm a huge fan of those 30 to 1 odds, 15 to 1 odds and up. So I did have Right to Party. Chris Elliott, he's obviously a reasonable jockey, a good jockey. But Mike Smith,
Smith's a good jockey.
He's on the 8, and that's so happy. He's at 15 to 1. So if I had to pick, I'm going to put Mike Smith and the 8, So Happy, and then behind it, Right to Party and Chris Elliott.
So Happy.
Mike Smith, he knows a lot about horse.
He's a good jockey,
and these jockeys, something you have to pay attention. Like Pat said, you look at the trainer. These jockeys are paired with these horses because they know they have a shot to win it. They're not going to ride
in the old days, Noah, if you had Pat Day or Jerry Bailey on a horse, they were worth something. They really were. In big races like this, I'd bet them all the time, and a lot of times they're getting the money, and they were on horses that nobody heard of.
Yeah.
What's So Happy's odds?
So
15
happy
to
right
1.
now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be probably 15 to 20 to 1. But last year, what Noah and I did on actual Derby Day is we did a live stream. Maybe we'll do it this year.
Doing that?
I don't know. If you want to, we can do that. But at the time, we found out it was very muddy at Churchill Downs because it had some rain. And so we had found out that Sovereignty, who ended up winning the race, was good in the mud. So that's who Noah and I chose as like a long shot.
Either way, we'll give the viewers the pick.
Do you remember the odds? Do you remember the odds?
Saturday, we'll give it to them either way.
That again?
Do you remember the odds on that one? The odds for her last
year?
Yeah,
no, it was good. 18, 20 to 1.
Yeah,
I even had a
see,
lady.
no one's right. That's a sweet spot there.
It is.
Don't go too
These are all good horses. They're all good. They wouldn't be here.
But the sweet spot is definitely the 15 to 25, 30, 31 horses.
Yeah, why get 5 to 1 when you get 30?
Sovereignty and journalism really were the highlight of last year. They just actually raced against each other, and White Barrio is a horse that upset them just a couple of weeks ago. But it was a fun Derby season last year, and I think it's going to be that way too. We're going to know these names. A couple of these are going to be household names within the next couple of months. But good luck on everybody on the 152nd Derby. Again, that post time's like 6:57 at night, almost 7 o'clock. But that day, we're the only place to be for the Kentucky Derby. We're going to have a trackside barbecue. We're going to have our annual hat contest for cash prizes, so get your Derby hats ready. We're also going to have mint juleps, what would Derby Day be without mint juleps? We also have Derby merchandise on sale. We get some really cool hats in that I know are going to be a hot seller. We even have the ladies' Derby hats too.
I'm going to have to break out the bow tie. Pat will break out the bow tie.
I think we're going to do that.
It's a mandatory.
Is it me? The post time's going later and later now. Like it's be like
it happens.
Okay, so it is happening that way because it used to be like 6:30, 6:18, and now it's like 7 now. Like
7,
right.
It's essentially going to go off at like 7:02.
Right.
Okay. Still, and then don't forget Friday at 5, which is an awesome local band. They're going to start playing a little after 3:30. Also
Saturday at 3:30. Friday at 5.
Yeah, that's them. And it's going to be an awesome day. No matter what you do, come out and bet the race. You can start doing that on Friday. But good luck on the 152nd Derby.
By the way, Mike, if you have Comcast and Scripps, it might be the only place to watch it here.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't watch it on cable.
Still going, huh?
Yep.
Ridiculous.
Still going.
We have a lot of screens, too.
Come check it out at the only OTB in Palm Beach County right here at PBKC. Now let's talk about some baseball. And, I was going to talk about Alex Cora first, but then the Phils said, hold my beer, and said, we're going to fire Rob Thompson. So he got the axe yesterday. Are we happy about this, Pat?
Well, I liked Rob Thompson. Don't get me wrong. I thought he did an excellent job for the most part with this collection of people to get them as far as they could go. They needed something to happen. They just lost 10 of 11 and worst run differential in the major leagues. All these statistics that are ridiculous for a team that has this kind of talent and is getting paid this much. So somebody had to go. The unfortunate thing is it probably should have been Dave Dombrowski who put these guys together, not Rob Thompson. He's just trying to figure out how to get them to hit. So the GM probably should have taken the fall here more so than the manager. But, as evidenced by just one game last night, the Phillies all of a sudden score 7 runs and shut out the Giants with Don Mattingly at the helm. But the bigger problem is Dombrowski. He's put these guys together. It's time that they need a new voice in there. They got to get somebody else. I've gone over this list a zillion times. They should not have paid Schwarber. They shouldn't have paid JT Realmuto. They shouldn't have paid Aaron Nola. They paid all these guys a ton of money when they were clearly on the downside of their careers, and then, as I mentioned a zillion times, they don't even have backups in position to take over for the catcher or or Schwarber or whatever. Or it just is. It doesn't seem like there was a plan there. It's just we had a bunch of guys that had some level of success, even though it kept going down and down every year. We still think that all of a sudden they're going to resurrect things as 35-year-olds and play really good and win a World Series. That just didn't make any sense. So I'm fine with the firing. Not because I hated Thompson. It's just they needed some kind of a new voice in there. And Mattingly, I think, is a really good manager, so I think maybe they'll get something out. The weird thing is they offered the job to Cora before they gave it to Mattingly. So I don't know why he turned it down. I don't know why Alex thinks he's going to get a job somewhere else of this caliber. Maybe he realizes that the team's not going to be anything special. But that was the other odd part to me, is that Dombrowski is friends with Cora and offered him the job before he gave it to Mattingly. So we'll see what happens. I still think the Phillies have just they've hit the ceiling with this group.
Seems that way.
And they'll win some games. They've got too much talent. The starting pitching is really good generally. So they're gonna come back and win some games. But I do not think they're making the playoffs, and if they somehow do, they're not doing anything more than the first round, and they're going to get killed again.
Well, the pattern here too, you see with these two firings of managers, Boston and Philadelphia, is that two teams with a lot of pressure, two teams playing in big markets, two teams that were playoff teams last year, two teams that could be World Series contenders. So these are decisions being made that could to try and rectify the season. Now, look, here's the deal. The Phillies and the Mets both tied for last place in the East. 10 back right now, first place. The Braves are playing some really good baseball right now, and they're not even healthy. Like,
right.
So it's not to say that you have not seen teams blow leagues like this before. Hello, Mets fan here. We've done it before recently, like 3 years ago. But the reality is that you're only 6 back at the wild card. And look, 6 games is nothing in baseball, especially in late April. You have a lot of time to make up ground, okay? And so I think these decisions were made to try to save this season. And I still think one or both of these teams have a chance to make a wild card, because I just think, Pat, you mentioned last week too. Also, it's a good point. You have like really, really good teams, great teams, and really, really bad teams, and then you have like a massive like mishmash in the middle of mediocrity now. That if these teams start falling down the wayside, and some of the Phillies and the Red Sox, even the Mets can gain some ground, they're back in the race again. So it's not over by a long shot with either of these two teams. I don't like mid-season firings normally, but I feel like for the situations they're in now, for these two teams, these two markets, they had to do this. So
yeah, the whole model's broken. Like Pat said, you fire the manager. Okay, the manager's there, puts together the lineup or whatever. Like, could you imagine that here? Like you're dealing bad, and then I just get fired because probably, and I get fired because you're dealing bad. Like, why don't we just fire you? Like, but that's what happens. The players get all this money, and they're like, oh, they're our player. We signed him for all this. Yeah. There's guys that aren't hitting. That poor guy went home every night and probably had dinner with his wife and probably told her, yeah, I'm getting canned because this guy can't hit anything, and it's literally out of his hands. There's nothing. And I see in football and some other sports, you get a guy motivated. You can't get a guy hyped up to hit a baseball. Like I don't see it. But like, all right, go out there and like and coach him up and get him fired up to go out. There's no. I don't think there's a speech. I think that's why they're called a manager. They're not a coach. They're a manager. They just put the lineup together and send everybody out there and see what happens. So yeah, that's a little tough to try to drum it up like that. But yeah, I mean, does it make sense to bench some of these guys or get some other guys in there? Maybe. Or like Pat said, fire the guy who put this roster together because it stinks.
Yeah. The next question was, Earnest kind of answered this question. What struggling team has the best chance to contend? I think the Phils have a chance. I think if Don Mattingly, obviously we know Don Mattingly, one of the best. Growing up, we loved Don Mattingly on the Yankees. I always rooted against him because I didn't like the Yankees. But Don Mattingly is a heck of a coach. We saw him for the Marlins, and I think that the Phils still have a chance. My guy Trey Turner went 4 for 5 last night, so I'm hoping that the Phillies can turn it around. Between the Phillies and the Mets, who are right now both at 10 and 19, which of those teams has the better chance of doing something?
Yeah, I mean, geez, they're very similar. In the Mets should be better than this, though. They've made changes in personnel. I still don't know what's going on with Soto. I thought he was going to be an absolute difference maker with them. They got rid of Alonso, so they've gotten rid of guys. Lindor's hurt now.
Diaz.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they aren't. I think their manager, I don't know a lot about him, but he doesn't seem like a kook. He seems like he knows what he's doing. So I have no idea why that team is struggling. I know why the Phillies are, because again, they're old and they're paying the wrong guys. And there just isn't a motivation. I don't care what you say. When you hit 35 and you're like, man, I'm making 25 a year and I'm busting my back. I got to get up early now to take extra bath. Screw that. I'm showing up, and but the Mets don't have that issue. So I don't know what the problem is there. I still think they have a ton of talent. But as Ernest said, the Braves are running away with this thing. So it's going to be a wild card situation. And like Ernest said, some of these teams that we're all in a bunch. The Phillies and the Mets, I think, have the worst record in baseball. But it's not like they're 2-30. Right. They're in it. Like you said, they're only 6 out of the wild card. You can make that up. So I would probably say the Mets, just because I still think they have a ton of talent, and at some point they got to get on a roll here.
You have way too much faith than I do.
Ernest, the question for you, buddy. Should they get rid of Mendoza?
No, not yet. I'm not a fan of in-season firings. I think he's done a decent job, all considering. Look, the Mets are where they are because they're the Mets, okay? That's the answer to the question, okay? This team is cursed. There's certain teams that just have, no matter what they do, they just can't get out their own way in different sports, whether it's the Clippers in basketball, whether it's the Jets in NFL. For Major League Baseball, it is the New York Mets. They just can't get out their own way. Okay, it is what it is. I've long accepted that for now 40 years now. This is what they are. Okay, so to me, again, the answer to the question to me is still the Phillies, because they still, in my opinion, while older, yes, I agree, have probably the best roster in National League after the Dodgers. But again, they are older pieces now, so they got to find a way to dig in somehow, and maybe having a new manager, maybe you have Mantley in there, and we'll probably tear it out, start that up. I don't know, but to me, roster-wise, name value-wise, it's still the Phillies for me.
Yeah, this is like picking between getting a paper cut or a splinter, or like when somebody says, "Here, taste this. It's terrible." Yeah. Like it's the same thing. Like I don't even know if I want to pick. I like it. It's just flip a coin and I would go with the team that fired their manager. Maybe get a little spark out of that.
And here's the funny thing too with the Mets. They did this actually 2 years ago. They were 10 games below 500 in the first 2 months, and they end up getting to the playoffs as a wild card and went to the NLCS.
Yep.
So it isn't impossible, but I just don't have no faith in the Mets to do it. If I had to put money on this, I'm putting my money on the Phillies.
Yeah, my answer to Noah's question, I'll take the splinter over the paper cut anytime.
I mean, you look at some of these teams, though, like Houston's doing really bad. They're not. They shouldn't be.
Right, and they're one of the better teams in baseball.
The Texans are not. KC's all right.
KC.
Boston's in dead last in their division. Yeah. Milwaukee's not doing super great. I mean, they're a couple games above 500. They're like San Fran should be better, I think, than they are. So there's a ton of teams.
It's a mushy middle, like you said. It's a mushy middle of teams that are going to lop off at some point, or maybe they do gain some ground. But I still think the teams in the bottom tier, like the Phillies and Mets, that are good enough, have a good enough roster to make up the ground. They got to start now, though.
Yeah,
it's time. I mean, right now the Braves are playing good baseball, and they're not even healthy yet.
Yeah, Strider's
that's scary.
Back. Strider's probably coming back this weekend, and he's probably one of their
quit
top
bragging,
pitchers.
Michael.
Yeah. But I feel like we're going to look at the standings in Major League Baseball in 2 months from now, and they could be like totally different because of all these teams.
You're right.
Except the Mets. Now
see,
we're
that's right in there. See, there you go. That's very rude.
Yeah, I actually looked this up because I've always heard this expression that the hardest thing to do in sports is to hit a major league pitch. Do you think that is still the hardest thing to do in sports, Pat?
Now, I've been to the Louisville bat, manufacturing factory where they make the Louisville bats, and at that factory they have like a museum type thing there, and they have all these old bats and stuff, and they also have a thing where they show you. It's 60 feet 6 inches, and they have a machine, and it throws a ball, and you can get right next to it. It shows you how fast like 95 miles an hour is. I can't even see it. Like I stood next to the thing, and they threw it 95. And I'm like, now again, I know after reps and you get your timing down, but to me, you literally have to start swinging before the ball comes out of the guy's hand to have a chance to get it. And I was just like, I don't think, and I consider myself somewhat of an athlete when I was younger and all this stuff. I'm like, I actually got a chance when I was in high school. I batted again. I played baseball until my sophomore year. And there was a kid on one of the other teams named Mark Gubazaw who ended up playing for the Kansas City Royals. So the kid, I'm batting third. So the two guys in front of me strike out like nothing, and the kid that's coming up second after he strikes out, he doesn't even look at me. He goes, he's got some good stuff, and I'm like, all right. He threw me a curveball like right off the bat, and I thought it was going to hit me, and I'm like decked out, and the umpire's like strike one, and I'm like, I am done. That's it. And he threw 3 fastballs, and I mean I didn't even. And he was 15, 16 years old.
You go down looking or swinging, Pat?
I was swinging. I actually foul tipped one, and I was like ready.
There you
go.
go.
My God, yes.
But no,
So
the reason I did is because I literally swung as he was throwing the pitch. Like if it wasn't over the plate, I would have been swinging like looking like a complete doof. But I would say that I'd say that's probably the hardest thing. Just again because I've experienced to some extent a major league pitcher, even though I was 16 at the time. But the other thing I would say that's hard to do is making a critical putt in golf, like making like a 10-foot putt or something that you can make that's makeable, but having, or even a 5-foot putt, but having to make it because just the ability to calm yourself in that situation has got to be really difficult for the guys that are putting for millions of dollars. So one of those two things is probably the hardest thing in sports for me.
So my easiest answer is it's embarrassing because I would say hitting a goal in hockey, but the hard part for me is just getting on the ice. I can't skate. I cannot skate, okay? It's embarrassing. I hurt my hip last time trying it a couple years ago. We're not doing that anymore. So let's get that out the way. Baseball pitch, easily hardest one for me because, number one, I'm worried about getting hit with the ball, number one, which is very common, okay? And the pitches, even the 85-mile-per-hour pitch, it's still scary enough to lean into. So no, to me this is easy. To me, it's baseball pitching by far the hardest thing in sports.
All right, so field goal kicking. We always used to have this problem at Pee Wee practice where we're like, all right, we're going to simulate field goal. And that was always a nightmare. We had to find somebody. And I would go up there and you try hitting it straight on or you try to angle or whatever. And the goalposts in the NFL are really narrow. They're narrower than you think they are. And then could you imagine, you're trying to line up your steps and you got to do the 2-step and then kick it. And you're worried about the guy's rushing. And then you got to worry about the guy. How about this? The guy who has to take that hold and put that ball down, that's probably one of the toughest jobs in sports, too. That's a high-pressure job where you got to catch the ball, put it down or whatever. So I never experienced maybe some T-ball or something, and that was a little bit easier than what we're talking about here. But, yeah, put the ball in front of me, I'll hit it. But you coming 100 miles an hour, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, like if you go to the batting cages, which I don't
What's
even know.
What's the max? You can't get there.
I don't think they have more than like 80 at the batting cage. Even 80, you're like, I'm supposed to hit this?
We should do more interactive stuff on this show where we bring in the machine.
Well, we discussed it last year.
If you ever gone to at Roger Dean or whatever, they have pitching things where you can throw it. And I'm sitting there winding up, throwing it. It's like 48 miles an hour. I felt like I really threw that ball.
Yeah, ripping it.
Yeah, we're all going to go to the batting cage, and then we're all going to meet at the hospital.
Yeah.
Now we're going to talk about the PGA. And Rory, I don't know. They keep wanting to make Rory news because obviously he's the hottest thing in golf right now. He's making headlines because he's going to skip his second consecutive PGA Tour signature event. But when I named the list of everybody else skipping this upcoming tournament that they got going on right now, Rory's not going to play, Xander's not going to play, Ludwig Aberg's not going to play, and Wyndham Clark isn't going to play. Do you mind that he's skipping 2 signature events, Pat?
I don't have a say in it. I think it's his prerogative, I guess. This is the problem that golf is going to have with what they're trying to do with the new schedule and absorbing live and all the other stuff that they're going to do going forward, where they're trying to shorten the schedule to essentially ensure that the top 120 guys play in these 20 events every year, almost mandatory. Then the other 20 to 25 events are going to be essentially Corn Ferry type events, but they're still independent contractors. You can't make somebody play in something, and that's the tough thing when you're dealing with something like this. Yeah, these signature events, I thought these guys were almost, unless he has to pay a fine or something, which at this point he probably doesn't care. He's got enough money. This is going to be the tough thing with golf going forward. These guys make so much money. It's endemic in sports. They make so much money that they're almost incentivized to say, you know what, I need another week off. I'm not going to go play, whatever the event is this week. And what are you going to do about it? So I want to equate this to something. I saw the movie Michael Jackson this past weekend.
I saw it twice already. So
by the way, awesome movie. I love nostalgia type stuff like that. And it makes me really feel old now that he's been gone for 16 years. But
17 now, actually.
Yeah, you're right, 17. It was an awesome, really great movie. The music's just unbelievable. But there's a part in the film where Don King is trying to negotiate with Jackson's dad about the Victory Tour. And they're joking with each other. And he goes, "Hey, Joseph," he's just like, "Don't BS me here. No Michael, no tour." And I'm like, that's what's going to start happening. You're going to get no Rory, no tour. You're going to get no, Scotty, no tour. These guys have to play in a lot of this stuff for this thing to be successful. And I don't know how you do it. I mean, unless Rory's dad's going to make him play, I don't know, how this is going to work in the future with the money that these guys are already making.
So chat me up real quick, Pat, and Noah can chime in as well too. Also, is there a minimal appearances you have to make a year for the PGA Tour? If you're part of the PGA?
My understanding is for the signature events, which is what they started doing a couple years ago, these guys are supposed to play in these. I don't think there's you can take 2 of them off or whatever. They're supposed to play in all of them because there aren't as many of them as there were before.
Okay.
And they're limited field events. I don't think there's cuts and all that kind of stuff. So they're guaranteed that they're going to make X amount of money anyway. Now, what I'm saying, though, is I'm imagining there's a fine situation or whatever if they don't play. But if that's the case, then these guys are like, yeah, I'll pay you $100,000 or whatever the fine is. It's just that money doesn't matter to them anymore.
Do we know why he's missing events? I'm not going to show up. That's it.
Well, there's a big tournament coming up next month. What is it? The PGA Championship, I think it is.
Okay.
So, I mean that, and he skipped the 3 before the Masters too, which got everybody riled up. The only reason I care is because if this golf tournament was in your town and you're trying to sell tickets,
we know this,
yeah, we know this from the Honda and the Cognizant. Obviously, that's going to affect a lot of things.
I mean, I'd be bothered if he pulled the rug like last minute, but if this was if he wasn't scheduled to do
other
this.
thing. If you told me I had to go there and it's Thursday morning, like back spasms, like I got back spasms. I'm staying home. That's what they're gonna do. That's what they're gonna do.
That's the truth. Now let's talk about the tournament that we got going coming up this week. This one is a Cadillac Championship. And it's a good one. We got some top contenders. Scotty's going to play in it. Other favorites include Cam Young, Colin Morikawa, and Adam Scott, who actually won the last tour event held at Doral in 2016. So it should be a good tournament. Right now, Scotty is the favorite on Hard Rock Bet at plus 275. So that should be a good tournament. You think Scotty is going to pick up the win here?
I mean, I think he's getting to the point now where he's got to win something here going into this really next stretch of majors. Like, I thought he was going to win 3 out of 4 this year, and but he's getting in this pattern where he's coming in second a lot. And, yeah, that's great for 99% of the golfers. That means you're right there. It's literally only one guy's beating you. But that's not Scotty Scheffler's standard. His standard is not just winning, but winning by a lot. And, a lot of times it's the first round. For whatever reason, he doesn't play well in the first round. He has to try and catch up for the next 3 rounds. And to his credit, he's generally done that. But he's got to figure out whatever's going on in that first round to eliminate 3 or 4 shots there so that he's not trying to chase that the next 3 rounds. These guys are too good, even for Scotty Scheffler. If you're going to spot him 5, 6, 7 shots, they're generally going to be able to hold on to that over 4 rounds. So I think it's important. I've said this, I think, last week, he's got to start winning. You get into that rut where you're finishing. David Duval had this where he was just finishing second for a lot of things, and he finally broke through it. That's not the case with Scotty here. Scotty's won. So he's got to figure out what is going on with his pre-tournament routine and figure that out and change something up about that to go back to whatever he used to do or figure out something new. But he's got to grab the tournament by the throat on Thursday and then figure out, how much of a margin he's going to have after that. I still think he's the most talented golfer, but he's got to figure out why he's coming in second so many times.
Well, I'm going to make some wagers here and double down on one Cameron Young this weekend to win at plus 1,100. And even if he doesn't win, I'm going to double down also and at least give him a top 5 finish at plus 240 as well. So
nice.
You're going to bring somebody back from
good player.
Somebody back from the archives, maybe like Justin Rose at plus 3,300.
Wow.
Plus 3,300?
Yeah.
There we go.
That's not bad.
Looking for some long shots in this one. We'll talk more about that when we get to our sports betting picks of the week. But right now we're going to talk about the National Basketball Association. They are deep into the playoffs. The Thunder swept the Suns. The Spurs have taken the series from the Trailblazers. Minnesota leads 3-2 over Denver. The LA Lakers lead 3-1 over the Rockets. In the Eastern Conference, you got the Pistons with a 3-1 lead over the Magic.
No.
Actually, the Orlando leads 3-1. Well, that's surprising.
Yeah, very surprising.
Then you got Boston 3-2 over the 76ers. New York leads the Hawks 3-2, and the Cavs and Raptors are tied at 2-2. Anything you've seen so far from the playoffs, Pat?
Man, I was saying before the podcast started, I had my rant all ready for the
Sixers. You can still do it, brother. You can still do it.
I thought they were going to get creamed last night. I'm like, yeah, this is it. Get rid of Daryl Morey. Start this whole show over again. But, of course, then they do what the Sixers do, which is really – this is why they're so frustrating. Because when Embiid's in there and he's playing – they have talent. I'm not saying they can win the NBA championship, but they have talent to do something like that. And that's what's so frustrating about them is that Embiid can't stay healthy for half the games. And then when he is in there, sometimes he's sleepwalking through it. So when he plays, man, that team's, they can win. The Celtics were biggest loss they've had going into the fourth quarter at home in the playoffs with the lead ever last night. 0 for 14 on their last field goal attempts. That doesn't happen to a team like the Celtics. So defensively, the Sixers were doing something, and a lot of that's because of Embiid. So I'm still not in any way. They're probably going to get beat by 35 again like they did in Game 1 and Game 4. I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to Philadelphia and absolutely get creamed. But it's just really a shame more than anything. I'm less as angry as I am just like, man, it'd be so nice if they could just put a full season together with Embiid, Maxey. Paul George is at the end of his rope, but yeah. Edgecombe, see what they could do with another couple additions next year and go from there. But you cannot rely on Joel. He just the poor guy just can't stay healthy. And if you continue banking on him, these are the types of seasons you're going to get. They're good enough to make the playoffs, but they're not going to do anything once they get in there. The other thing I will say is I don't think this is going to happen. So But I don't think any NBA team has blown a 3-0 lead. I don't think that's ever happened.
We came close a couple years ago, though. The Heat.
If a team could do it, and it's a shame Durant is not playing, but I just don't trust the Lakers without half their team. LeBron's a great player, but he's been doing this all on his own. If the Rockets can win this next game, watch out. I think the Lakers. I agree with
you.
Nuggets,
I agree with you. I think the Nuggets did it. Did the Nuggets do it 1 year?
No. 3-0 is still on the board. The Heat almost blew the 3-0 lead 3 years ago to the Celtics, and they won Game 7. I feel two ways with this playoffs. Like, on one hand, these playoffs have been kind of lame because all these injuries. Wemby missed a couple of games.
Edwards is out for Minnesota.
Edwards out now for Minnesota. Futendo's out. You got Jalen Williams, the Thunder, is out now with hamstring injury, maybe out to the conference finals. A lot of key injuries. Kevin Durant's been missing time. Luka's been out.
He's out tonight. Kevin Durant's out tonight.
There you go. That's the problem. So we got to see how that plays out. But at the same time, we do have some compelling series here. I'm not surprised Minnesota's up 3-2 right now because I had Denver winning in 7. I had this going to the full limit because Minnesota always gives Denver's issues every single year in the playoffs. And in fact, Minnesota beat them a couple of times, one time in the playoffs 2 years ago. So not a surprise there. Obviously, the biggest surprise of all right now is Detroit being down 3-1 against Orlando.
Yeah, that was your team. You had them.
Well, yeah, but again, Detroit also didn't get a shooter at the deadline. Cade Cunningham was coming to the playoffs injured as well, too. Orlando is much better than we all thought they'd be. Like, first off, I thought they'd be a top 4 team in the East this year. Okay, they underwhelmed this year, so they're only doing what I thought they should have been back in October. Okay, but the fact that 3-1 against Detroit is a shock. Look, I don't think they'll win tonight. I think that Detroit will find a way to win tonight. I'll get my picks in a second. But other than that situation, everything else has been pretty much chalk for the most part. Like the Thunder winning in 4 against the Suns. Come on now. The Spurs, even without Wemby for a couple of games, they took care of business against the Blazers and whatnot. There's some compelling things here. The Lakers being up 3-1 against the Rockets, a little bit compelling as well too. We'll see how it plays out game 5 tonight. But I feel two ways about it. On the one hand, there's some compelling stories in the first round, which is good. But on the other hand, it's like no star players. The stars make this league, and they're all missing time, and it sucks.
Yeah, they should do something like load management. So when
see how that works out. Seriously. Oh, my God.
They're already doing load management. Now we're in the playoffs, and everybody's still hurt, so maybe you should take a look at that, too. Maybe there's something about the game. But, the Detroit thing, not as surprising to me as it is to you because you thought Detroit was right there. I thought the Knicks were going to do what they usually do and melt down, and they were able to recover, and now they won 2 in a row, and they're looking to close it out. It's wide open in the East now. Boston isn't what.
You're there with Boston?
What?
You're there that it's still wide open in the East?
I believe it's wide open in the East. Yeah, I mean, if Philly could win any games against them, and I think that New York can stay with them. And then in the West, the Spurs are going to be the Spurs. These are those kind of like the NFL was last year, where we didn't really have anybody who's like. Right. Fully dominant, pulling away. This is the year. If you want to win a championship and you're in the NBA, this is the time. There's no clear-cut favorite, especially with all these teams banged up.
The problem with New York is that they are definitely good enough to win the East. I just don't trust them because they do. Game 2 and Game 3, for example, they should have won those games also too. This should be a close series. Right. They're much bigger than Atlanta as size-wise. They should be taken to the basket with all this, and they don't. They just have these games that just don't show up. Boston too, same thing. As good as Boston is, they'll have the game 2 against Philadelphia, and then last night's game. Like, what are we doing? So yeah, I guess you're right. I put up a tweet the other day, and I caused a lot of stir up with it, saying that it's Boston's East to lose. 2 nights ago, and then literally last night this happens. I'm like, oh, never mind. What I do that for?
Yeah.
So.
Well,
Get yourself together.
Thanks for that.
It's at this point, it's Spurs and Thunder, and then everybody else.
Yeah, that was my next question, and you just answered it. So now
oh, my
let's
bad.
move
I'm
on.
sorry.
No, that's fine. Now let's move on to the NHL, which we haven't talked about in a while because the Panthers aren't in, and we really didn't want to talk about it. But now let's talk about the NHL playoffs. They're also in full swing. Carolina swept the Senators. You got the Sabres are 3-2 over the Bruins right now. Penguins and Flyers. Philly leads 3-2. Lightning and Canadiens tied at 2. In the Western Conference, Avalanche and Kings. Colorado went ahead and swept them. Oilers and Ducks. The Anaheim Ducks are 3-2 right now over the Oilers. The Stars and the Wild. Minnesota actually leads that series 3-2, and then tied at 2-2 are the Golden Knights and the Mammoth. Anything surprising? Are you even paying attention to the NHL playoffs?
I am. Believe it or not, I'm watching a little bit of it. I'll make a blanket statement, and this does not count the teams in the West. These are mainly only the teams in the East. The playoffs always ratchet up the emotion, ratchet up the physicality and everything else. But in my opinion, this has been the most physical, borderline cheap shot NHL playoffs I can ever remember. If you watch any of the Penguin Flyers series, I don't know how these guys are getting out of each game without going to the hospital. There's after the whistle, hitting guys on the hands and, elbows to the face and high sticking and all kinds of stuff. The Ottawa Carolina series, even though it only went 4 games, that was horrendous. I mean, there were fights all over the place. It was I mean, I listen, don't get me wrong. I like, physicality and good, solid hockey and all this, but Bettman's got to be a little bit concerned. This is getting a little bit over the line. Again, especially if you watch the Penguins-Flyers series, it's not really in hockey. It's just a lot of, flipping the puck out, and then they're seeing who they can drill into the boards, by both teams. So I don't know, how that's going to transpire as we go forward, and maybe guys start getting a little tired and beat up as it goes on. But man, this first round has been a lot of physicality. My only thought is I've been watching a lot of the Flyers and Penguins. I used to be a big Flyer fan, and I'm not anymore. But I took the Flyers in a bet with Alexis. So
go Flyers.
She's got to win she's got to wear Flyers gear, sweater, and a hat to a Penguins game if I win.
Oh, that's dangerous.
No, weren't you guys?
I thought I threw face painting in there too, but she says I didn't.
That could turn into.
So she's like deathly afraid to be going to Pittsburgh in full Flyer gear.
Wow.
But I will say this. Flyers better win Game 6, or else they are going to be one of the few teams that has lost a 3-0 lead. They're not a good team. They're a bunch of brawlers. This harkens back to the Broad Street Bully days. They don't have a ton of talent that I've seen. I've really been able to watch them now for the first time all year, and I'm like, who were their main scorers and stuff? They got a 19-year-old kid that's pretty good, but other than that, it's just brawl hockey. It's
can't
like,
beat them, cheat them.
They got to get a lucky bounce or something, and that's how they score goals. So they got to figure out a way to win Game 6. Because I don't think they're going back to Pittsburgh for Game 7, and they're going to get their rear ends beat 4 games in a row after being up 3-0, and they're going to have nobody to feel bad about except themselves.
Especially who they're playing to.
Yeah, Crosby is playing at a different level as he always does in the playoffs. So, like I said, Flyers better win. But neither team, whoever, I think they got to play Carolina after this. Carolina is going to beat either one of these teams. So, so we'll see. But yeah, it's been an interesting. If you like hockey, it's been an interesting playoffs, at least on the eastern side, because they're really not playing hockey. It's just fighting with a puck and sticks.
It's like life, man. Should I be shocked that Edmonton, the 2-time Western Conference champions, are actually down 3-2 against Anaheim?
Anaheim's not bad. They're not bad. Edmonton still has goalie issues, and that's been their problem. They gave 7 goals the other night, like in the playoffs. Wow. You just can't do that. Now, Draisaitl came back, and he played really good last night, and they got a win. I would never count Edmonton out, but Anaheim's not bad. They're not like a ridiculous team.
Edmonton's they're healthy. Everybody's McDavid's healthy, but
they should be.
I thought he missed a little, but here's the thing: that window, they had the window, and the Panthers ended it 2 years in a row, and now they have it again, where they have arguably the best player in hockey, and you're trying to get over the hump, and now you're not. It'll start to wear on you, and we touched on this with with Florida, we said that you win, you play all those extra games and you win the cup, and then you play all those extra games and you win the cup. They were playing all those extra games and losing the cup, playing all those games and losing the cup, and now they're back at it again. It just wears you down.
Absolutely.
It's almost like if you want to bet, and I didn't do any bets this, pick against them winning the next game. They have mailed it in. They're done. It's been a long 2 and 3 year run almost, and they're going to call it quits because, to subject ourselves to that for another run to the cup, it's just too much work.
I agree with you 100%. 100%.
Now let's get into our sports betting picks of the week. I'm going to take an easy play. Of course, I'm going to take the 11 in the Kentucky Derby. That is incredible. A nice little long shot for you. And then at the Cadillac Championship coming up in Doral, I'm taking Scotty at plus 275. This might be worth a $100 bet. Turn $100 into $375 on Scotty this weekend. What about you, Pat?
Yeah, I like Scotty too. I think he's too much of a winner to keep this going, whatever this malaise has been with him. I think he probably is extra motivated to do something. The weather's not going to be great on Sunday, so I don't know if they're going to wipe this out after 3 days or whatever. But if he can get off to any kind of a start without Rory there, I think he's the class. Now, don't get me wrong, Cam's good. Justin Rose, there's a bunch of guys that can win this thing, but Scotty's got to, and I think Scotty knows it. He's got to get geared up for the next major, which is coming up here in like 3 weeks. So I'm going to take him too. I
might do like a bonus bet for Scotty just because at some point I got this malaise, you call it. Even though second place, second place. I mean, it's different standards for people, I guess, right?
First loser.
So, okay, let's get to the NBA playoffs tonight. Game 5 actions here tonight. 4-game parlay here. Give me Detroit to bounce back big, cover 10.5 points. Also, Kate Cunningham playing a disastrous Game 4 with 9 turnovers in that game. I'm going to take Kate Cunningham on over 20.5 points. Also, the Cavs also come 9.5 points at home against the Raptors. And then the over tonight on Lakers and Rockets to bet $25 to make $282.
All right, so we picked the Derby champ last year, Mike, and we waited. So this is the early pick, and it might change. I don't know the weather or what's the weather look like or if it's going to change or anything because we adjusted our picks that day. But yeah, I'm going to go at the number 8 with Mike Smith on there. So happy. It's going to go off of 15 or more to 1. That may change before Saturday, depending. But I can put the stamp on it for now, right?
That's cool.
And then Justin Rose plus 3,300, a little bit of a long shot.
Some big bets, and let's show you what's going on here. We got
Everything.
April high hands on Saturday. We also have that $25,000 cash giveaway. We saved it for our biggest day of the year, $25,000 given away. Those May high hands, that May payday is going to start after this weekend too. So check out the high hands. Of course, we're talking about Derby Fest. It is the best party south of Churchill Downs, and it's all coming up this Saturday. We have Friday at 5 playing. We have the Big Hat Contest. We have mint juleps. We have trackside barbecue. We have Derby merchandise and much, much more. It's Derby Fest this Saturday, and we've already announced 4 shows for the paddock for next season. So check those out on our website at pbkennelclub.com or follow us on social media. And what are we looking forward to this week, Pat?
Let me ask you a question, Mike.
Sure.
If the NFL schedule's coming out, I think in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah, 2 weeks.
If the NFL said we're going to do an NFL schedule party or something in Detroit, do you think they'd get 10,000 people for that? I think they'd get 50,000 people for a scheduled release in Detroit. And have people come out and be like, first game of the year, Detroit at, I think they could do it.
The fact it's a big deal for content-wise every year, they leak out little things here and there leading up to the schedule release. It's a big deal. They'll easily get people into the building for that. So there you go.
I like it.
That's my thought of the week.
Oh, okay.
No, I was actually looking at it yesterday. Yeah, Philly going to Jacksonville.
Couple of things. One, I turned 46 on Friday.
Oh. Congratulations.
2, I plan on seeing the movie again for the 3rd time this week at some point.
Wow.
Okay.
Because I'm a hardcore fan.
It is good.
I'm a hardcore fan. I have issues with the movie.
I'd see it again.
I have, as someone who's a hardcore fan of Michael Jackson, I have a lot of issues with the movie personally, but we'll get to that later. And 3.
Are you poking holes in the story?
No, there's a lot of gaps in the story. There's like
why wasn't Janet in it?
Yeah.
What was the deal with that?
She asked not to be used. That's why.
Okay.
But so was when he was Reby either. He was involved in the movie.
She was worried about the costumes, probably.
The manufacturing. And 3, I mean, this is like fun time. This is the most underrated time of the year for sports. Right now with the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. Golf is kicking right now too. There's a lot going on here. So I know we're not in football season yet, and we love football, but April, May is nice, man. I like this time of year because it starts to decline again after May.
Well, it's nice when your team's still alive and you're a Heat, but the Knicks, I'm a Knicks fan, and I'm excited for that. But ultimately, and I've seen it 30 years in a row now here, is the Derby. When that thing goes off and everything shuts down in here and everybody's screaming at the TV, it's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah,
I haven't been able to experience it, and I think, Pat, you said you did go up there, but
that's awesome.
If you can't,
really cool.
This is the second best place to watch it for sure.
Absolutely.
Yep. Experience it this Saturday right here, Kentucky Derby Fest. We're going to see you for the Kentucky Derby. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you next week on the show.
See ya.
PBKC is your entertainment destination for poker, table games, OTB, Paddock live events, and exceptional eats. The Paddock Restaurant is perfect for meetings, corporate functions, parties, fundraising, and more. Call 561-683-2222 extension 199 and book your next event today.